In a vast room filled with holographic displays, representatives from various alien species gathered for an urgent meeting of the Galactic Council. The air buzzed with tension as the council members discussed their recent resource allocation plan. They had decided to expand their mining operations, targeting Earth for its rich deposits of rare minerals and energy sources. The council's decision had been swift, but its implications were profound, threatening to exploit the last remaining bastion of humanity. On Earth, deep within a concealed military facility, a group of scientists and military leaders gathered around a large round table. They were aware of the council's plans. Reports of alien ships arriving near Earth had been circulating for weeks, and the news only confirmed their worst fears. General Marcus Kane, a seasoned veteran of numerous conflicts, stood at the head of the table, his face grim. "We cannot let them invade our home," he stated firmly. "If we do nothing, they will take our resources and leave our planet in ruins. We need to act now." Dr. Emily Chung, a brilliant scientist with expertise in energy weapons, nodded in agreement. "We have technology hidden away from the world, stuff we thought we would never use. It's time to bring it out. We must prepare ourselves for battle." The room fell silent as the leaders considered her words. Their minds raced with memories of the Cold War, of the fear and uncertainty that had gripped humanity. But now they faced a new threat, one that came from the stars. They had to embrace their past, not as a burden, but as a lesson. In a small laboratory, technicians worked tirelessly to dust off old weapons and technology, while engineers began modifying them for modern warfare. Humanity was about to unleash its hidden potential. The air was thick with urgency as they gathered all the resources they could muster, including drones, energy shields, and cloaking devices. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued its meeting. They believed humanity was weak, divided, and easy to conquer. Councillor Natrix, a tall, slender being with green skin, expressed his confidence. "Earth's inhabitants are nothing compared to our forces. They will submit without a fight, just as all the others have." Little did they know that beneath the surface, humanity was uniting. A secret alliance of scientists, military leaders, and innovators began to take shape, ready to face the impending threat. They reached out to smaller alien races, those who had suffered under the Council's rule. One by one, these races joined forces with Earth, each bringing their unique strengths and technologies. The whispers of rebellion spread through the galaxy, igniting hope among the oppressed. Back on Earth, General Kane gathered his team for a final briefing. "We may be outnumbered, but we have something they do not: our will to fight for our home. We must show them that humanity is not to be underestimated." With their spirits high, the team set to work. Earth was ready to respond. The Council's arrogance would soon be challenged, and humanity's vengeance would be unleashed. The galaxy was about to witness what happens when humanity is pushed too far. The call to arms had been sounded, and it echoed through the stars. The day had arrived when the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The human ambassador, Samantha Reed, walked nervously through the grand halls of the Galactic Council's headquarters. Her heart raced as she passed shimmering walls made of an unknown material, glistening under the light of distant stars. She was the only human in a room filled with various alien species, each one watching her with curiosity and skepticism. The Council had gathered to discuss the new resource allocation plan, which, unbeknownst to the ambassador, included a brutal invasion of Earth. As she approached the central dais, the Council members took their seats, each representing a different planet and culture. They were powerful and confident, convinced that humanity would bow to their will. As the meeting began, Councillor Natrix, the same alien who had mocked humanity in the last session, stood up. "Today, we will solidify our control over Earth's resources. The humans are weak. They will not resist our demands." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. She had come to negotiate, to seek a peaceful resolution, but now she understood the grim truth. This was not just a meeting. It was a plan for domination. She took a deep breath, trying to keep her voice steady as she spoke. "I ask you to reconsider. Humanity has much to offer, and we wish for peace and cooperation, not conflict." The council members exchanged skeptical glances. Natrix chuckled dismissively. "Your kind has always been unpredictable. What makes you think you can negotiate with us?" Suddenly, a holographic projection flickered to life above the dais, showing a document marked with a warning symbol. It was a leak from a rogue faction within the council, revealing their plans for Earth. The document outlined the invasion strategy, detailing troop movements and resource extraction plans. Samantha's eyes widened as the realization hit her. This was it, the proof they needed. "You cannot do this. You will ruin our planet," she exclaimed, her voice rising above the murmurs of the council. Natrix's demeanor shifted as he glanced at the document. He had not expected this. The other council members looked uneasy, their earlier confidence wavering. The room filled with tension as whispers spread among the representatives. Some began to question their own loyalty to the council. Feeling emboldened, Samantha pressed on. "This is not just about Earth. Your actions will have consequences across the galaxy. If you destroy us, you will ignite a fire that will consume everything you hold dear. We are willing to ally with other races who have suffered under your rule." At that moment, a small alien from a neighboring planet raised a hand. "We are tired of living in fear. If Earth is attacked, we will stand with them." His voice trembled but carried a weight of truth. One by one, other representatives began to voice their support for humanity, echoing the small alien sentiment. The atmosphere shifted from one of arrogance to cautious consideration. Samantha left the meeting with her heart racing, not just from fear, but from hope. She returned to Earth with a heavy but determined spirit. She knew they had only just begun to fight, but now there was a chance. A chance to rally others and stand against the Council's tyranny. The spark of rebellion had been ignited, and she could feel it spreading like wildfire across the stars. The Council may have underestimated humanity, but they would soon learn the cost of their arrogance. Back on Earth, the news of the ambassador's revelation spread like wildfire. The moment Samantha Reed returned, she held a press conference, her voice steady, but filled with urgency. "The Galactic Council plans to invade our home, to take our resources and leave us powerless. But we will not stand by and let this happen. We must unite and prepare to fight." Her words resonated with people around the world. Citizens filled the streets, waving flags and chanting slogans of defiance. Governments mobilized their forces, and scientists began to dust off old technology. The sense of urgency was palpable. The threat was real, and humanity was awakening from its slumber. In secret laboratories hidden beneath the Earth's surface, scientists worked around the clock. They accessed ancient weapons, prototypes that had been stored away during the Cold War. They modified these weapons, integrating advanced technology and ideas from the alien allies they had begun to form. Dr. Emily Chung, leading the research team, felt a rush of excitement as they created energy weapons and drones that could cloak themselves from enemy sensors. "Imagine this," she said, addressing her team. "If we can combine our old technology with what we've learned from our allies, we could create a force they never saw coming." The team buzzed with energy, inspired by the possibilities. Meanwhile, General Marcus Kane organized military drills, bringing together soldiers from different branches of the armed forces. He knew they needed to be ready for anything. "This is not just about our military. It's about every person on this planet. We must be united, trained, and ready to defend our home." The call for volunteers went out, and people flocked to enlist. Young and old alike wanted to play their part. The idea of fighting for Earth sparked a sense of pride that many had not felt before. Schools and businesses closed as communities rallied together, preparing for the fight that lay ahead. As the training progressed, messages from other alien races began to arrive. Small factions that had suffered under the Council's rule offered their assistance, sending ambassadors to discuss strategies and share technology. A delegation of insect-like beings known as the Exalfar arrived, bringing knowledge of guerrilla warfare. They shared tactics that would help the Alliance strike swiftly and effectively. Samantha found herself in constant contact with these new allies. During a late-night strategy meeting, she spoke to a group of diverse representatives. "We are stronger together. We need to coordinate our efforts and share what we know. The Council underestimates us, and that will be their downfall." The Alliance began to take shape, merging human ingenuity with the unique strengths of various species. They developed advanced cloaking devices and energy shields, preparing for an impending confrontation. On the outskirts of the solar system, alien scouts reported the movements of Council ships. The Council, still arrogant and confident in its superiority, failed to recognize the storm brewing on Earth. They believed humanity would bow to their demands, not realizing that humans were readying themselves for an all-out war. With every passing day, the hope of victory grew stronger. Humanity was no longer divided. They had become a force to be reckoned with. The time for action was approaching, and they would soon show the Galactic Council the true meaning of resistance. The stage was set for humanity's vengeance, and they were prepared to unleash it upon their oppressors. The night sky over Earth was dark and calm, but beneath the surface, tensions were rising. General Marcus Kane and his team stood in the command center, a high-tech facility buzzing with activity. Monitors flickered with images of the galaxy, tracking the movements of Galactic Council ships that were steadily approaching. "Time is running out," Kane said, his voice low but firm. "We need to send a message that we will not be intimidated. Tonight, we strike first." The room fell silent, all eyes on the general. His words carried the weight of 1,000 hopes and fears. In the days leading up to this moment, the Alliance had planned meticulously. They had gathered intelligence from their alien allies and identified a key outpost of the Galactic Council located near the asteroid belt. This base was vital for the Council's operations, a hub for supplies and communication. Destroying it would send a powerful message to their oppressors. Dr. Emily Chung, standing beside Kane, reviewed the final plans. "We'll deploy a mix of our cloaked drones and the Excelfar's stealth ships. They won't see us coming until it's too late." Her excitement was palpable, and she felt the adrenaline coursing through her veins. As the team prepared for the mission, soldiers lined up, their faces set with determination. They were ready to fight for their planet, and each one understood the importance of their task. The Alliance had agreed on a signal, a flare that would light the night sky, marking the start of the assault. With everything in place, the time had come. Kane took a deep breath and addressed the soldiers one last time. "This is our moment to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who has suffered under the Council's rule. Together, we will make them pay for their arrogance." With a chorus of cheers echoing through the command center, the team moved out. The sleek ships, equipped with advanced cloaking technology, launched into the darkness of space, leaving Earth behind. Each vessel was a symbol of hope, a testament to humanity's will to fight back. As they approached the enemy base, the atmosphere was tense. Sensors picked up the Council's ships, unaware of the approaching threat. Kane's heart raced, but he kept his focus steady. "Remember your training," he reminded his crew. "Stay sharp and follow the plan." With a final countdown, the order was given. They released the cloaked drones, which swiftly moved in, undetected. As the drones infiltrated the outpost, they unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, targeting communication arrays and supply depots. Explosions lit up the dark space, signaling the start of chaos. The Council's guards were caught completely off guard. Panic erupted as alarms blared throughout the base. Kane and his team took advantage of the confusion, launching their attack on the ground forces. They engaged in fierce combat, using the knowledge and tactics they had learned from their alien allies. Dr. Chang coordinated the drones from the command ship, her voice steady as she provided updates. "We've taken out their communications. They're trying to regroup, but it's too late." Victory seemed within reach as the Alliance pushed deeper into the base, striking with precision. The Galactic Council's forces were overwhelmed, unable to mount an effective defense. As the final explosions rocked the outpost, the team celebrated their success. They had sent a clear message: humanity would no longer be a victim. They would fight back, and they would not rest until they had secured their freedom. As the fleet returned to Earth, a sense of triumph filled the air. The first strike had been a success, and the tide of the war had begun to turn. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, and now they would face the consequences of their arrogance. The Galactic Council was in turmoil. News of the devastating attack on their outpost spread rapidly through the ranks, igniting fear and anger. Councillor Natrix paced back and forth in the war room, his green skin shimmering under the harsh lights. "This is an outrage," he shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. "How could we let a mere planet of humans strike so decisively? We must respond immediately." The council members, now facing the consequences of their underestimation of humanity, nodded in agreement. They realized that they could no longer afford to treat Earth as an easy target. They needed to show their strength, and they needed to do it fast. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the victory celebrations were short-lived. General Marcus Kane and Dr. Emily Chang stood in the command center, reviewing the intelligence reports that flooded in after the attack. The mood was tense. "We've sent a strong message," Kane said, his brow furrowed with concern. "But we must prepare for the Council's response. They will not take this lightly." Just as he spoke, a holographic display lit up the room, showing the movements of the Galactic Council fleet. "Look!" Dr. Chang exclaimed. "They're mobilizing a large force. It seems they're heading straight for Earth." The urgency of the situation set in. Kane quickly gathered his team and briefed them on the imminent counterattack. "We have to fortify our defenses and prepare for battle. We've caught them off guard once, but we cannot rely on luck again. This time, we need to be ready." As the sun began to rise over Earth, the atmosphere buzzed with tension. Soldiers trained tirelessly, reinforcing their positions and sharpening their skills. Engineers worked day and night to strengthen the energy shields around major cities and military bases. A sense of determination washed over the planet as citizens rallied together, ready to defend their home. The alliance with their alien allies grew stronger, as small factions from different planets sent reinforcements, ready to join the fight against the Council's tyranny. Hours later, the Council's ships entered Earth's orbit, their sleek forms ominous against the backdrop of space. The fleet was massive, filled with troops and advanced weaponry. Natrix stood at the helm of the flagship, a smile creeping across his face. "Let them come," he said, his voice dripping with confidence. "We will crush this rebellion once and for all." As the Council's ships descended towards Earth, Kane and his team activated the defensive systems. The sky lit up with beams of energy as they launched countermeasures against the incoming fleet. Drones and fighters rose to meet the enemy head-on, engaging in a fierce battle in the skies above. Dr. Chang monitored the situation closely. "They're focusing their fire on the cities," she shouted. "We need to protect the civilians." General Kane directed his forces, coordinating strikes against the enemy ships. "Focus on their flagship," he ordered. "If we can take out Natrix's command, we may turn the tide." The battle raged on, explosions lighting up the sky as ships collided in a chaotic dance of destruction. The Alliance fighters fought bravely, but the Council's forces were relentless, pressing forward with determination. As the flagship's shields flickered under the onslaught, Kane realized the stakes were higher than ever. This was not just a fight for Earth, it was a fight for their very existence. He rallied his troops, reminding them of their purpose. "This is our home. We will not let them take it from us," he yelled, his voice echoing over the comms. The soldiers cheered, renewed with energy and purpose. The battle continued, both sides unwilling to back down. Humanity's resolve shone through the chaos, and it became clear that this would be a defining moment in their fight for freedom. The Council had underestimated them once, but they would soon learn that humanity was a force that could not be easily extinguished. The battle in Earth's orbit raged on, a chaotic clash of energy beams and explosions. Counselor Natrix's flagship loomed ominously over the battlefield, its powerful shields absorbing the onslaught from humanity's forces. General Marcus Kane watched as the Alliance fighters engaged in fierce dogfights with the Council's ships, but the tide was not turning in their favor. They needed a miracle. In the command center back on Earth, Dr. Emily Chang analyzed the data streaming in from the battlefield. "The Council has superior numbers," she said, her voice tense. "But we can't give up. We need to find a way to disrupt their command." Kane nodded, his mind racing. "If we can infiltrate their flagship, we could take out Natrix and throw their entire fleet into chaos. But how do we get past their defenses?" Just then, a technician at the console spoke up. "What if we use the cloaking technology from our drones? If we can deploy a small team on a stealth ship, we might be able to slip past their defenses and board the flagship undetected." Kane's eyes lit up with determination. "That's it. We'll send a strike team. Dr. Chang, I want you to lead the operation. You know the technology better than anyone." She nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "I'll do it, but I'll need a skilled team with me." As the plan formed, they quickly assembled a group of elite soldiers, each one trained for high-risk missions. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Torres, a talented pilot known for her bravery and quick thinking. "I'll get us there, General," she said confidently. "Just give me the order." With the plan in motion, the strike team boarded their stealth ship, its surface shimmering as it engaged its cloaking device. The ship slipped through the chaos of the battle, weaving between the massive ships of the Council fleet. Inside the flagship, Natrix watched the battle unfold, growing increasingly frustrated. "Why aren't they retreating?" he growled. "These humans are tenacious. We must crush them now." Just then, alarms blared throughout the ship. "We've detected an incoming vessel." A crew member shouted. "It's cloaked." Natrix's eyes narrowed. "Prepare the defenses. We can't let them get on board." But it was too late. The stealth ship, piloted by Torres, had already breached the outer perimeter and was maneuvering toward the docking bay. The strike team disembarked, stealth suits enhancing their movement as they infiltrated the flagship. They moved quickly through the corridors, bypassing guards and security systems. Dr. Chang led the way, her mind focused on the mission ahead. They needed to reach the command center and take out Natrix. As they approached the heart of the ship, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The team paused outside the door to the command center. "This is it," Torres whispered, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "On my mark, we breach." With a nod from Chang, Torres kicked the door open, and the team charged inside. The room was filled with startled council members, their eyes widening in shock. Natrix stood at the center, anger etched on his face. "You dare to enter here?" he hissed. The strike team opened fire, and chaos erupted. The council members scrambled for cover, but they were outmatched. Natrix fought back fiercely, unleashing energy blasts that narrowly missed the team. Dr. Chang focused on disabling the flagship's main control systems while the others engaged in combat. "Hold your positions." Kane's voice echoed in their earpieces. "You must disable the ship before you lose control." In the midst of the battle, Chang spotted the control panel. She darted towards it, fingers flying over the controls as she initiated the override. "I need a distraction," she shouted. Torres moved in, drawing Natrix's attention as she fired her weapon. The counselor roared in anger, but before he could retaliate, Chang successfully shut down the flagship's systems. Lights flickered, and alarms blared. The ship began to lose power, chaos enveloping the command center. "We did it," Torres shouted, a grin breaking across her face. With Natrix's command disrupted, panic swept through the flagship. The tide of the battle outside began to shift as council ships struggled to regroup. The Alliance forces seized the opportunity, launching a fierce counteroffensive against their disorganized foes. As the flagship's systems failed, Kane and his team felt a surge of hope. This was the turning point they had been waiting for. Humanity was ready to reclaim its destiny, and they would show the Galactic Council that they were no longer a species to be underestimated. The battle for their freedom had only just begun, and they were determined to win. The chaos aboard the flagship was palpable. Counselor Natrix, realizing the gravity of the situation, shouted commands to his crew, but panic had already spread among them. The once mighty Council fleet was faltering, and their loss of the flagship's command would have dire consequences. Outside, the skies above Earth turned into a battlefield. As the flagship's systems faltered, the Alliance forces seized the opportunity to launch a full-scale counterattack. General Marcus Kane watched from the command center as humanity and its new allies fought with newfound ferocity. "Now is our chance," Kane exclaimed, rallying his team. "Let's finish this." Dr. Emily Chung, who had just disabled the flagship systems, quickly moved to join her fellow soldiers in the fray. "We need to help our forces outside," she urged, her voice steady despite the chaos. The strike team regrouped and exited the command center, ready to join the battle. As they stepped out into the corridor, they encountered a wave of Council soldiers rushing to regain control. The strike team moved quickly, using their advanced weaponry to push through the throngs of confused enemies. Chang's heart raced. They were making their way toward the command bridge, where they could further disrupt the Council's operations. Meanwhile, the Alliance ships, bolstered by reinforcements from their alien allies, coordinated a series of coordinated attacks. The Selfar ships, with their agile designs, danced around the Council's massive warships, picking off targets with precision. The insect-like beings fought with fierce loyalty, avenging their past suffering under Council rule. In the midst of the battle, Lieutenant Sarah Torres piloted her ship through the chaos. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," she thought, a fire igniting within her. "We're fighting for all those who have been oppressed." The Alliance forces pressed on, combining human ingenuity with the unique strengths of their alien allies. Energy beams lit up the sky as the Alliance unleashed a barrage of firepower on the Council's ships. The tide had turned, and with each passing moment, the Council fleet began to crumble. Back aboard the flagship, Kane and his team made their way to the command bridge. They could hear the sounds of battle echoing in the halls, but they remained focused. Their goal was clear. They had to capture Natrix and send a message to the entire Council. As they reached the command bridge, the doors slid open to reveal a scene of chaos. Counselor Natrix stood at the control panel, desperately trying to regain control of the ship. The walls were alive with flashing alarms and warnings, the ship's systems failing under the onslaught of the Alliance's attack. Natrix turned, fury burning in his eyes. "You insolent creatures. You think you can take this ship from me?" He raised his weapon, but Chung was quicker. With a swift motion, she fired, striking Natrix and sending him sprawling to the floor. "Your reign of terror ends here," Chung shouted, stepping forward as her teammates secured the area. With Natrix incapacitated, Kane moved to the control panel. "We need to shut down the flagship's systems for good," he commanded, focusing on overriding the remaining controls. Outside, the battle reached its peak. Alliance ships surged forward, taking down Council vessels one by one. The morale of the Council's forces plummeted, and their once proud fleet began to retreat. "Push them back," Kane shouted into his comms. "Let's finish what we started." The Alliance fighters pressed the attack, refusing to let the Council regroup. The skies above Earth turned into a brilliant display of lights and explosions, a testament to the fierce struggle for freedom. As the flagship's systems began to fail completely, Kane turned to his team. "This is our moment. Let's show the Council what humanity can do when we stand together." With renewed determination, the Alliance forces pushed forward, their spirits lifted by the imminent victory. They were no longer fighting just for Earth. They were fighting for the freedom of all oppressed beings across the galaxy. As the Council's flagship faltered, the tide of the war had shifted dramatically. The Alliance had struck back with a force that would resonate throughout the galaxy, and the Council would face the consequences of their arrogance. The battle was far from over, but humanity had found its strength, and together with their allies, they were ready to reclaim their destiny. Final confrontation. The flagship of the Galactic Council was in chaos. The once mighty command center now lay in ruins, alarms blaring as systems failed. General Marcus Kane stood at the control panel, sweat dripping from his brow as he tried to stabilize the ship. "We need to finish this," he said, glancing back at Dr. Emily Chung and the strike team. "Natrix cannot escape." Just then, the door burst open, and a group of Council soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Natrix, still wounded but filled with rage, followed closely behind. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but insects," he spat, glaring at the team. "Not insects," Kane replied, his voice steady. "We are humanity, and today we end this fight." The room erupted into chaos as the strike team engaged the Council soldiers. Energy blasts filled the air, and the smell of burnt metal permeated the room. Dr. Chang focused on keeping the control systems online, knowing that if they could keep the flagship operational, it would be a significant blow to the Council's remaining forces. "Cover me," Chang shouted as she worked. Torres and the others pushed forward, holding off the incoming soldiers. The energy beams illuminated their faces, revealing determination etched into every feature. Natrix, furious at the sight of his men falling, stepped forward. "You will pay for this insult." He raised his weapon, aiming directly at Kane. Just as he was about to fire, Torres leaped in front of her general, deflecting the blast with her own weapon. "Get him," Torres yelled, urging her team to focus on Natrix. With a fierce battle cry, she charged at the counselor. The two collided in a chaotic struggle, both refusing to back down. Natrix was strong, but Torres was fueled by her drive to protect her planet. As Kane fought off the remaining soldiers, he caught a glimpse of Chung struggling at the control panel. She was typing furiously, but the pressure was immense. "I need more time," she yelled, glancing over her shoulder. "Just hold on," Kane called back, delivering a swift kick to the chest of a Council soldier, sending him sprawling to the ground. "We've come too far to let them win now." Outside, the battle raged on in the skies. The Alliance forces had pushed the Council ships back, but the flagship still posed a threat. If they could not neutralize it, the Council could regroup and retaliate. Inside the command center, the fight between Torres and Natrix reached a fever pitch. Torres was quick and agile, using her training to dodge Natrix's powerful strikes. She could feel the weight of the fight on her shoulders. This was not just a battle for her, but for everyone on Earth. With a final burst of energy, Torres landed a solid blow to Natrix's side, sending him staggering backward. Taking advantage of the moment, Kane rushed in, joining the fight. "Let's finish this," he shouted, striking Natrix with all his might. Natrix, now cornered, snarled in defiance. "You will regret this," he shouted, reaching for a hidden weapon. But before he could react, Chang shouted from the control panel, "I've got it." With a triumphant look, she hit the final button, triggering the ship's self-destruct sequence. "The flagship will be destroyed in 3 minutes. We need to get out of here." "Everyone, out," Kane commanded, rallying the team as they fought their way back through the chaos. As they fled the command center, the countdown echoed ominously. They could hear Natrix's furious shouts behind them, but there was no time to look back. The flagship was coming down, and they had to escape before it was too late. With a final push, they'd reached the docking bay, bursting onto the ship just as the countdown hit 1 minute. They quickly boarded their own vessel, and Torres punched in the coordinates. "Let's go," she yelled as the engines roared to life. The ship shot away from the flagship just as it began to explode, a brilliant fireball lighting up the dark space around them. They had done it. They had confronted the Council and struck a powerful blow. As they watched the flagship burn, Kane turned to his team, pride swelling in his chest. We did it. We fought together, and we won. But as they regrouped, they all knew the battle for freedom was far from over. The Galactic Council would not be so easily defeated, and they would have to prepare for whatever came next. But for now, they had won a critical victory, and humanity had proven its strength. A new era. The smoke from the burning flagship drifted through space, a stark reminder of the fierce battle that had just unfolded. General Marcus Kane and his team watched from their ship as the Galactic Council's flagship was consumed by flames, its destruction marking a significant turning point in the war. Dr. Emily Chung, still catching her breath from the adrenaline, looked out at the remnants of the flagship. We did it, she whispered, disbelief and relief flooding her voice. We really did it. Kane turned to his team, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. We fought for our home, and we won. But we must remain vigilant. The Council will not take this loss lightly. As their ship moved away from the explosion, they received communications from their allied forces. The remaining Council ships had begun to retreat, their morale shattered. The Alliance had gained the upper hand, and with the destruction of the flagship, the Council's grip on the galaxy was loosening. General Kane, this is Commander Alara of the Selfar fleet, a voice crackled over the comms. Your bravery has inspired us all. We will continue to fight against the Council's tyranny until freedom is restored to every corner of the galaxy. Thank you, Commander, Kane replied, feeling a sense of unity. Together, we can change the future. As the Alliance forces regrouped, a sense of hope spread among them. The victory over the Council's flagship had given every member of the Alliance new energy. They were no longer just a collection of species fighting for survival. They were now partners in a common cause. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. Cities erupted in celebrations, and people took to the streets to honor their heroes. The air was filled with cheers, and the mood was one of joy and unity. Humanity had stood up for itself and had fought back against oppression. In the command center, Kane, Chung, and their team were greeted with applause. The weight of their victory settled over them like a warm blanket. They had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated. They were fierce, resilient, and capable of incredible feats when united. However, as the celebrations continued, Kane knew that the battle was only just beginning. We need to establish a new order, he said to his team. The Council will retaliate. We must prepare for whatever comes next. Chung nodded in agreement. We need to reach out to other oppressed planets and gather support. This victory must inspire them to rise up against the Council too. Kane sent out a call to arms, inviting other worlds to join the Alliance. We are not just fighting for Earth anymore. We are fighting for freedom across the galaxy. His message resonated, and many worlds began to respond, eager to join the cause. As the days passed, the Alliance grew stronger. They developed a strategy to confront the remaining forces of the Galactic Council, focusing on freeing other planets from their grip. The unity among the different species became a symbol of hope, a sign that together they could reshape their destinies. In the heart of the command center, Kane looked at the holographic map of the galaxy, dotted with potential allies and the Council's remaining strongholds. This is the dawn of a new era, he said, determination in his voice. We will not stop until every planet is free. Dr. Chung smiled, her spirit lifted. This is just the beginning. The galaxy will know our strength, and we will forge a future where every being can live in peace. With renewed resolve, the Alliance set forth, ready to fight for a future free from oppression. They knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they were no longer just humans. They were part of something greater. Together, they would bring about a new era, one defined by unity, freedom, and the unyielding spirit of all who dared to dream of a better galaxy.